You're tuning into the Journey to Your Best Self podcast, where we explore the past holistic well-being, personal growth, and living a fulfilling life. Each episode, we bring you insightful conversations, practical tools, and inspiring stories to help you integrate your mind, body, and spirit on your journey to becoming your best self. Let's dive in and embark on this journey together. And welcome back to the Journey to Your Best Self podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian O'Neill, joined by my sister, clinical hypnotherapist and certified life coach, Tara O'Neill. Today, we're thrilled to have with us Toni Stevens, a healer, energy coach, and a passionate advocate for emotional empowerment. Toni's mission is to help individuals create calm, confidence, and connection by healing childhood trauma, stress, and anxiety. She's here to share her wisdom on raising consciousness and transforming emotional overwhelm. Be sure to check out, after the episode, her free online workshop, Emotional Freedom, and she's graciously offered to share an excellent, extremely helpful anxiety toolkit with the listeners and viewers of this show. So stay tuned for more details. Without any further ado, Toni, welcome aboard.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you. So let's get right into it. One of the things that I usually wait till the end of the episode to discuss, I have this quest that I'm on to try to discover different energy centers around the globe. And there's these hot button places that we talk about a lot that have come up a lot. The Costa Rica's places in India and Peru and Colorado, some stateside places. And it's just really fascinating that there's a lot of people that are drawn to these places, and they have a lot of like-minded ideas about mind, body, and spirit, like your oneself. And one of the things that I had noticed when you're kind of researching somebody to fit this topic today was there seems to be a bit of a, overrepresentation on the island that you hail from. It's a vast space, but is there something that down in Australia that is more accepting of these ideas about, getting to that trauma within you, feeling your feelings? Is it just anecdotal evidence that is not true, or is there something to that, to maybe open-minded, being on the forefront of this world? Can you speak to that a little bit?
It's funny when you said island, I was like, island? No, Australia. Yeah, it could be the sun, right? There's so much sun. But we have a lot of space here as well, right? There's not so many people like where we are. So it feels like, I'm from Adelaide. So if people say, oh, you're from a big country town, I'm like, oh, am I? Like, that's strange to me. But, what was I going to say then? That was something that came up for me. Oh, that's right. So it was about mental health. And we just, I don't know what it's like in the US, but in Australia, there's a massive mental health problem. And, stress and anxiety and depression, really, really prevalent in young people. So maybe it's come from that, just that need to actually find, a solution to that problem. That's my guess.
Yeah, great answer. Where there's a need, way will follow, right? Necessity is the mother of invention. What do you think is the reason that kind of mental health crisis has grown so fast in the past decade or several years? I mean, and there's not probably one answer, but what is your hypothesis there at some of the major factors for that?
I think the workload. I think a 9 to 5 is not just 9 to 5 anymore, those, especially with the use of computers and screens and mobile phones, we can have access, I'm looking at my emails at 11 o'clock at night before I go to bed, so there's that part of it that I think plays a huge impact in our lives, is that it's not 9 to 5 anymore. If it ever really was, but our work hours are way longer than that, and we just take it home with us. And we also attribute our identity to our work life as well. and then we forget to have to have downtime. We forget that, you know, like relaxation is actually important, and, you know, socializing and joy and fun. Like, we forget that all of those things are really important. And I know that, like, in Australia, like, sport is really huge, right? And I've never really been into sport myself. I was more of a dancer. So, but I know that it's really competitive as well, right? So it's not just about having fun anymore. It's about, oh, I've got to do this thing. I've got to get it done. You know, I've got to be better than everyone else. So it's like, that's almost like a part of that, you know, like with work, with like doing and being busy all the time. And then our sport, which is supposed to be our fun time, our socializing time, that's turned into this other, like, oh, I've got to be better. I've got to do this. And then also, like, alcohol is a huge thing in Australia at the moment. Like, it's really accepted that it's a part of the culture. And if you don't drink, then you are like weird. Because, like, I certainly was a weirdo who didn't drink alcohol. Yeah. Did
Yeah,
I answer your question? Hopefully.
I do remember back in college, the Aussies that were, you know, came over to our college. Like they really it was very they drank everyone under the table, so to speak. I think that's a universal. So but it was still, I mean, that was, and you know, not showing my age too much, that was almost 20 years ago. There was still an element of fun, like you're saying now, with the competition of, like, even, and as we see on social media, even working out is like a
Yeah.
competition. It's not like, it's not so much fun. It's like, oh, you know, posting your stats on like your morning jog. And it's like, well, can we maybe make that like a morning walking meditation, right? Because we don't need any more cortisol. We're just keeping like rising the cortisol. And I'm guilty as charged, like with, you know, doing hot yoga, like, it's just, yeah, it's good in some element, but if we're constantly like overexerting and in that heightened state, even some of those, that aggression might need to be looked at. And so, yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about how you got into Reiki and the overlap. Obviously, you know, fellow Reiki practitioner and hypnotherapy, you know the importance of the well-roundedness of mind, body, and spirit. I'm curious if, you know, people that are just starting out on taking their mental health into their own hands, if they should, like, is it necessary to start simple, or can they explore these modalities straight away, in a sense of, you know, do they have to look at the trauma or the inner work, and can we talk about how that doesn't have to be so scary, maybe?
Yeah, I love that question. Yeah, and that's why Reiki is so beautiful, because it's such a gentle, beautiful experience, isn't it? And it's just someone like having their hands on you and holding you and channeling. So, you know, what we do in Reiki is we channel that universal life force energy through our crown chakra, out of our hands and into the other person's body or energy field. And it's just so gentle. You know, we don't have to speak. We don't have to like do anything. It's just the hands and the comfort. And yeah, like, and they really feel that as a somatic experience, like a physical experience. Remembering what it's like to be at home in our body, because we're so busy up here in our minds thinking that, you know, our brain is the most important thing to help get us through life. And we forget that, you know, our energy and our body and our feelings are actually really important as well, especially for those stress levels, right? That can cause so much damage to our health and wellness. Just to take time out and to allow yourself just downtime and to reset your nervous system. So I love to say that Reiki really resets your nervous system. But sorry, I didn't answer your question properly.
Oh, it's
I was,
because I know there's so much good stuff there.
yeah.
No,
So
that was,
I was
but that
really,
actually, that digression actually helped, because a lot of times when something like that's introduced, I'll say, for the uninitiated, can you give us a little bit of a primer on or an overview on Reiki? So that actually ended up working
Yeah,
out perfectly.
Thank you.
So I was drawn to Reiki when I was in my early 20s, and I'd just gone through art school, and a lot of my work was based on the mind-body connection. So I was looking into a lot of alternative religion, spirituality, health, like ways of being healthy. And I just stumbled upon chakras and the chakra system. And then after that, I was like, oh, I want to go and study something, some alternative therapy. It just was really drawn to me because I loved meditation. I was really into spirituality. I had a really great mentor when I was in high school. She was my religion teacher, and she used to do group meditations with us all the time. And I just absolutely loved it. She was a bit of a hippie, this lady. Like, she was just so beautiful. And so I was really drawn into that world, and drawn to so I went and studied traditional Chinese medicine and shiatsu, and the teachers were like, feel the chi flowing, and I was like, what are you talking about? So they suggested I go and do a Reiki course, and I did, and I just absolutely loved it. I was blown away. It just confirmed for me everything that I felt to be true about life and about myself, that we are made from energy, and, that's how we connect with each other, is through this energy field, and we can actually like feel each other's energy. And I was really aware of this, but wasn't really sure of what I was feeling. I've always been a really empathetic child and adult, and so I was already feeling stuff, and it just confirmed to me all of that I felt to be true. So if you're someone who's like highly sensitive to energy and feeling, like the feeling of a room, like the vibe of a room when you walk into it, and you can pick up when there's like angry people or people who've been arguing, or like that kind of stuff, then or someone who's really sad, right? Then you're an empath or a highly sensitive person. And so studying Reiki just absolutely confirmed for me everything that I felt to be true. And I loved it. It made me go, okay, I'm not crazy. Like, I'm actually like feeling these things and picking up on this energy. So I really loved it. And then we learned a bit about the chakras as well. So that was really exciting.
Yeah,
On
and
that, Tara, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I love that you reminded, or expressed that Reiki is very gentle, right? In that it can help move the emotion. So if we could talk about how the mind and the body and the spirit and emotion is connected. What is an emotion? What is a feeling? How is it in our body, our energy field? How is it where is it in our mind? Is it, where is it? And thank you also for talking about the highly sensitive person, because a lot of the word empath is thrown out there a lot now. There's some I think maybe a lot of different, it's a very loaded word. I think we all have a potential for empathy, but I think what we are talking about a lot of times in this is what you're saying, those people that they feel the energy, that it exists, it's real, but they feel it a little bit more. And I think they say like 20% of people are highly sensitive individuals, and for whatever reason, and not that you don't need to go into that, but I do remember how, like, seeing the movie, it was like sensitive. I want to say like Alanis Morissette put out this movie, or she was at least featured in this documentary, and I remember thinking, like, I cried. I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I've been feeling my whole life, and it was so validating. So that's one of the reasons why we talk about these things, is because we want people to think like they're normal, right? If you feel these things, you're actually very normal. So thank you for mentioning that. So yeah, if however you'd like to explain a bit about the emotions and the feelings.
Yeah, sorry, Brian, did you want to say something?
No, that's totally fine. I can wait on this. This is more. This gets priority.
Okay, cool. So it's, like, talking about a highly sensitive like person or child, it was interesting as a child, like looking back how confusing it was. you know, like when your parents are like clearly angry, right? And they're like telling you, or whoever it might be, it might not be your parents, right? Someone is, you know, an adult is angry and they're not saying that, they're not admitting it, you know, because they're not going to admit that to a child, right? It's not your problem. But as a child, you could look at them and know, and like, I know that there's something wrong, you know, but they're not admitting it. So they're not speaking the truth. And so what that creates, you know, in a child's mind, it's like, what, this like total conflict and confusion of, you know, what do people not like speak the truth, you know, like that kind of conflict. So I just wanted to say that as well about the experience of a child, you know, a highly sensitive child can be really confusing. Sorry, what was the question? On emotions and feelings.
I mean, you know, however it comes up for you, but I think sometimes just explaining emotions and feelings, and then, you know, how could they possibly be in our body, and, you know, even if it goes into like how Reiki helps move those out.
Yeah. Okay, so coming back to basics about an emotion, it's basically just a feeling or a sensation that we're feeling in our physical body. So when any emotion shows up, it's just an energetic charge that's showing up in our body. And so we feel that as just a sensation. So we might feel it as like, you know, using all of our senses. So our sight, our sound, our taste, our smell, our touch, our feeling, and our mind. Like we're using all of those senses and we're accessing that feeling. So it can show up in any ways. So for an empath, it might be like sensitive to feeling, right? So if you're someone who has a stronger sense in your vision or your sight, they might see colors or see visions or, you know, something like that. And you would know all about that, right? So, so it shows up, emotion can show up in different ways in our body. So if we're talking about anger, for instance, right? If you, you know, if you remember a time when you felt angry, you would know that, oh, like it might be something like, oh, that guy cut me off, you know, on the corner when I was driving, right? And you might get really angry. So, which happens a lot in Australia, right? There's lots of road rage. So we feel it in our body, right? As a physical sensation. So it might be our heart starts racing, right? Or it might be, there's pressure in our head that builds up. Or it might be like this feeling in your fists, right, of anger. Like I just want to lash out and like hit someone or hit something. And so what, you know, and for a visual person, that might be I'm seeing red, right? So that's how they might describe it. Or for an auditory person, it might be I'm just hearing this loud, like, you know, buzzing noise in my ears. It's really you know, really, really frustrating and bothersome to me. So it's, yeah, it can feel like a heat in our body, anger, you know, like that fiery energy of anger and how that can show up in our body. And it's like, you know, and I love anger, right? I used to be an angry person. Okay. So, I used to like, you know, people used to say, oh, you're so angry. And I hated that about myself. But then when I learned like the power of anger, now I love it, right? Because it's a power that shows up for us when we feel powerless. You know, if we feel like a victim, if we feel there's an injustice that's happened, if we feel powerless to stand up for ourselves, to speak up for ourselves, this like powerful energy of anger shows up for us. So how amazing is that, right? That our human body like gives us this energy, this power so that we can stand up. We can like stand up and speak up for ourselves or for other people, you know, if we see injustice in the world, right? So that's why I love anger, because it's a power that shows up for us. So the problem is with anger, though, is like how you choose to use that anger, right? Are you taking responsibility for your energy, for your power that's showing up for you? You know, are you using it for the light side or the dark side? Yeah, so that's like how a feeling can show up in our body, what it does for us. Like every emotion has, a reason for being there. It's our internal guidance system, our feelings, which is amazing. So I really encourage people to start really listening to their body and to their emotions, and like thinking about what's showing up for me. How does that feel? And so you can recognize it in your body and when it's showing up. So then you can like realize, okay, this is anger. This is showing up for me now. I can get up and speak up. It's like and the anger is like a fire under your butt, right? It's like this powerful energy that's like demands you like stand up and
Yeah.
get up and speak up.
That's beautiful. Thank you for bringing up anger, because I do think it's not talked about. It's so shunned as like, oh, usually often bad, bad, bad. But it's showing us internal navigation system if the anger is coming up. So my question would be, can you talk to how we shouldn't be throwing it back down, especially, to be polite, or, if we push it back down, we're ignoring how we really feel, and how we can positively channel that anger. Should we write it down? Should we go to the gym? Like, to what extent, and how do we know the anger is out and like finished, right? We don't want to just be like, oh, I'm a little frustrated, but then still push it back down.
Yeah. So what anger is like saying to you is like, please stand up and speak up for yourself. And so it really comes down to those really good communication skills, doesn't it? Right? If we don't have those skills, then we'll just like lash out and, just say whatever's on top of our mind. And that brings up all of those hurt feelings underneath can start coming out. It's, it'll just make things worse. We can blame and shame other people, but really it's our own feeling. It's showing up for us. So taking responsibility for that feeling. It's my anger, and I'm not going to blame or shame anyone else. I'm just going to use my skills of communication. And so I do say, if you can and are able to communicate in that moment, then do that. And just be really like simple, clear. It doesn't have to be like a, 10-minute, 1 hour, like, rant or like vent or lecture to someone. It can just be as simple as like how I'm feeling.
Yeah,
And,
right. So
what I mean.
before we then later blow the lid off of all of the little angers at the guy that cut us off. So we should start in the beginning when we're feeling like a little angry. This is coming up for me. I want to express this, and then not wait till it gets bottled up, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Nice.
So always have that. And that's what anger is. Like, it's giving you this power. It's like courage and strength, isn't it? To like stand up and go, hey, I'm really angry right now. I'm really upset, that this has happened. And I feel there's some injustice here. It can just be like, I feel really angry. I feel really frustrated right now. And that's it. It can just be like, I feel, right? Really simple. And maybe
Right.
if we want to add in like, I need, this is what I need.
Yeah. And that's empowering.
For
Right. Because if you say, I feel, you can begin to not give your power away that everybody else is making you angry ultimately, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's powerful. So I feel angry. I need 5 minutes to go breathe or walk or, take a break. That could be huge, right? If somebody got
Yeah.
that practice. I love that. Do you find that people, when you work with them, that they need to, maybe we can go into the trauma aspect. Do they need to go into the past, or does that come up as you're working with them?
That stuff comes up as I'm working with them. So that's more of a like questioning, going
Sure.
deeper into their thoughts, their feelings and their memories. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just want to say one more thing about the angry energy, because you asked it, how do you blow that off? So if you were like acknowledging the feeling and like that helps to soften that energy a little bit already, just by bringing awareness and presence and like naming the feeling, you're already like softening that energy of anger because it's like being acknowledged. And our energy, our emotions just want to be acknowledged. So just like a child tugging at your skirt, right? This energy in your body just wants acknowledgement. So it just wants you to go, yeah, okay, Toni, I know that you're feeling angry. You know, if I can talk to myself like that, yeah, it just helps take the edge off that anger. But also and it's just a practice, right? We just have to practice it, and we'll never be perfect at it. There'll always be times when we will like lose our shit. But, you know, it's just a practice that we can do and can only get better at communicating our feelings and our thoughts.
Yeah.
And so something else that you can do if you're just learning about how to, you know, regulate your anger is just to, like you said, go outside, take 5 minutes, blow off some steam. It might be like that we're doing those, like, you know, somatic practices of moving our body. It might be like some air punching, right? Just to help release that excess energy from our body.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It might be like stomping on the ground like a child, like I might be doing that silent scream, you know, and if you can't scream out loud, like just the silent scream in your mind, you
Absolutely.
know, just to
I
help.
always would joke with my clients that, or not even joke, like say in your car, usually people aren't going to be able to hear you. So if you need to pull
That's
over in your car and just grab the steering wheel and just get a good scream out, like energetically, sometimes the body just needs to release that. It doesn't always have to have a story connected to it. We can just release it. So can you share how we can, and then maybe you want to share you know how you work with clients, but one other tip of how people even begin to start listening to their body? Do you recommend, you know, that they do a meditation, that they do a check-in in the morning and in the evening? Is there something that a practice that you could recommend for somebody that's starting out, like, I don't even know how I feel, no one's ever really asked me?
Yeah. Um, you know, so the emotion wheel is a really good place to start. If no one's ever heard of that, it's just has all the emotions written on there for you, so you can help to start name your feelings. But I absolutely encourage a daily practice. And that's just like whenever, it doesn't have to be in the morning if you're not a morning person, you know, you just fit in 5 minutes a day somewhere. It could be morning, lunch, afternoon, evening, whatever works for you. So 5 minutes is just so easy, right? You can fit that into your day somewhere just to check in with your body. So I came up with this beautiful acronym called Being Artful. So the A stands for awareness, the R is for release, and the T is for transformation. And then the full is just that, you know, for filling your cup up. So yeah, just bringing awareness to your body. And I would just like sit, like in meditation in the morning. And some people might prefer to lie down, but you know, there's maybe like you might go back to sleep. So I always prefer to sit up. And just doing like, you know, a couple of minutes of deep breathing. Because I always feel all my stress and tension in my stomach. So, you know, everyone's different, right? We might feel our stress and tension in different parts of our body. So just being aware of where you're holding any tension in your body and just directing your breath into that, because your breath is your life force energy, right? So we're bringing in this beautiful, fresh energy. It's creating this beautiful oxygen into our body, like getting that flowing through your body. So it's helping to release that tension from your body. So just being aware and present right now in the moment, like where am I feeling any tension or discomfort in my body? And just breathing into that, and on the out breath, just, you know, allowing that tension to flow out of your body. And that's the, you know, awareness, the release through the breath. And then, you know, the T is for transforming. So it's just about setting your intention. Like, okay, I was feeling like stressed before, and now I actually want to feel calm. I don't want to feel stressed anymore. So that's, that's setting that intention for transformation. And I find that process so helpful each morning. Before, that's like before I can really go into that deep, peaceful meditation practice. It's like there's always something that's coming up for us every day, isn't there? Like there's some energy, there's some emotion, like, we're never free of it. We're human beings, we're always feeling stuff. So, and the nighttime can bring up a lot of things, when we rest, when we dream, when we wake, just noticing, it's bringing that beautiful presence to yourself and your internal world, because we get so caught up in the out there, in the external world. It's so important to bring some presence into our internal world, isn't it?
Yeah. So I love that so much. So just to repeat art. So we have awareness, release, and transformation. So awareness, doing a scan, see what's going on, doing a check-in, releasing that through the breath and letting go. And people will be surprised how the body then just kind of knows what to do. And now you have a clear head to set an intention or choose, have a little more empowerment to choose and then transform how you want the rest of the day to go, or be curious about, what you could, making a choice of how you might want to feel or how you could feel differently. So that is so beautiful. I love that. And 5 minutes. I mean, you could take 5 minutes. Maybe you do start with once a day, but maybe you could bring it up to a couple times and maybe lead it into a meditation. I love that. Thank you so much. Brian, are you going to incorporate art in your busy teaching daily life?
Yeah, I mean, I thought you were gonna it was gonna be for anger, how went on for about
Yeah,
the benefits of anger for so long. Going back to that for a sec, the one thing I would be concerned with, there really needs to be a trust in people to be able to have those communication skills or regulate. I mean, I for one there has to be awareness too. There's a thing about empowering emotions and feeling them and expressing them, but that is one where if it goes too far, it's one thing to have too much feelings that are like morose and sad or joy or happiness or something. But then with anger, the consequences can be pretty severe in another direction. So that's the only thing that would worry me about people being able to self-regulate or have the communication skills, right? If they're struggling
yeah,
controlling their
that's right.
struggling to regulate their own or be aware of their own feelings, are they going to really be capable of having those communication skills when they're dealing with someone else? And I think, especially with the internet too, I was thinking when you were saying the anger, a lot of times people are so separated, isolated now. I'm not sure they're thinking about, all right, let me communicate properly online, I don't, with my anger. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
well, if I'm giving, let's just live your life and let your anger, come out. There's less of a need to do that because you're just sending it into this digital ether. There's not even a person there, and you can just go after. I'm so angry at this group for ruining my life and the country and all these things that people get angry about. And then there's a lot of other people. There's no real sorry. If I'm angry with Tara because she wouldn't let me ask a question, we could figure it out. But if you're angry with hundreds of people online and you've taken it to some level, there's really no fixing that in a lot of ways. So where's the balance, right? How do you know you've gone too far with it? What's the counteracting
Yeah.
feeling? Maybe like, is it calm? You talk about calm a lot. How can people notice I've got, taken it a little bit too far and I'm not in moderation right now? How can they notice? And then I guess you kind of mentioned how they can step outside, stomp or breathe. Maybe we could just say, if you're affecting people in some kind of way that makes them feel uncomfortable, you've gone too far. Even though you're taking care of yourself, you got to be cognizant of the effects your self-help, self-healing is having on others. So I know that was a long one, but do you get where I'm coming from?
So important. I'm so glad that you brought that up. So exactly, it's like about not blaming or shaming anyone else for your own feelings or your own anger, but taking responsibility for yourself. And that's where, like, when I say it's naming your feeling, just acknowledging it to yourself, because if you don't acknowledge it, it's going to come out sideways anyway, isn't it? Right? And then we won't even know, like, when it's going to come out or how it's going to come out or who it's like going to, come out to. So that's why doing that work, like at home every day with a healer, with a therapist, with a coach, right, is so important. If you, like my meditation teacher has always said, if you should be feeling peaceful in your life, generally, that should be how you feel. And if you don't feel peaceful, if there's something else as a constant in that you're feeling in your life, that's more than 50% of the time, then there's some unresolved emotions, memories, experiences, trauma that you've got that need to be attended to with the help of a professional. Yeah. So we can, just taking responsibility for your own feelings, right? That's my anger. I don't have I don't have the authority to blame other people for how I feel because they're my feelings.
That's nice. Taking
Yes.
ownership.
And I
Yeah.
like how you said the 50% of the time, right? Because nobody's going to feel great all of the time. But if there is something where, you're spending time by yourself, there's no external circumstances, but you're still feeling that something most of the time, that's a great, like you said, reach out. And I think, to kind of answer answer a lot of what Brian was saying is almost like we need coaches and therapists and counselors and healers to help us. That's just where we are in humanity, in my opinion, right? So there's reach out is almost like if you can't figure it out on your own, like ask for help. If you're not getting anything, ask again.
Yeah, that's right. And if that's, if you found someone and they're not the right person for you, try someone else, because we all have that experience as well.
Yeah, that's one of the things I did like about you saying acknowledging these things, and I think that, in some ways, the farther we get ahead, sometimes we fall back, right? 2 steps forward, 1 steps back, right? So we want to bring men into this mind, body, spirit place of trying to self-actualization and open it up to them. And it's not like the decades past where they have to bottle everything up and they can't really get in touch with their feelings or emotions. But then at the same time, we're also suppressing the biology, the evolutionary biology of men to kind of be passionate in some ways and be strong, courageous, and what's competitive. So you're kind of acknowledging all that. And I do really appreciate that. And we've talked about a couple of things where it's not just men, but the competition, right? The competition that can sometimes get too extreme with whether it's work, whether it's, trying to get a promotion, whether it's on the pitch. You even said, like, even sport is getting so competitive. And then we talked about these emotions. And one thing that I think men, if I can speak for some of them, could be hesitant about, and you've talked about it a couple times, and I really appreciate it, is acknowledging that you don't have all the answers, because you've mentioned mentors and teachers, and to take it to another level, there's gurus and there's masters that they can really help people out. Can you talk about the importance of, you've mentioned a couple that really had an impact on you, of finding somebody that, and it's, first of all, it's totally okay to know that you're not, you don't have all the answers, right? And there's someone that might know Reiki more than Tara and yourself, and you're willing to listen to them. Talk about the importance of finding somebody that you can connect with that really will help you along and further on your journey.
Yeah, it's so important. It's interesting. Like I've been, sorry, it's so sidetracking, but I've been listening to the audiobook Raising Boys lately because I have an 11-year-old son. And like I've read the book before, but it was such a great read. I don't know if you've heard of it or read it. But it talks about like finding those external mentors away from your own family unit, to find some good men out there who can be a role model for you. It's so important. It's true. Like finding those people in your life who you can look up to and not feel competitive with, but think, oh, I can learn from that person. Like what can I really like all these things about them. I want to be like them. How can I learn from them? And yeah, normally hopefully there's some sort of connection, some sort of teaching that they can offer, even if it's just being a role model, right? But finding those people, and you're like, right, when I have worked with men, I have often found that they don't have a good role model. And I ask that question, like, who have you got in your life? Like, who's been your role model? And yeah, the answer has been, oh, I don't have anyone. I'm like, can you find someone? Like, choose someone, anyone. Like, I don't know, like Tony Robbins, like, Jesus, like, I don't know, like just someone that you can look up to.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And with that book, I like to ask all of our guests what book they would recommend to our viewers and listeners. It could have been something that was really inspirational to you, or just whatever's coming to you right now, that you would recommend people to read.
One of my favorites, and I went back and listened to it recently, was Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So beautiful.
that's my favorite as well. So that was my first on the journey. Like, and I'm talking like I didn't know any. Like, I was like, what is this guy talking about? But also, good role model for men. I mean, for everyone, but
Yeah.
for men. Definitely. And that's, I like to also say, we can have a couple different, and they don't always have to be the same gender, but, and a woman that I follow, she calls them expanders, right? It's like, what qualities do you like in this person, and how can they be expansive to you? And what do you like in this person? And how can that help you realize that you're the same, right? They're just another version of you, and you possess that golden shadow, so to speak, of having those qualities and embodying them in yourself. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. That word, expanders.
Yeah. I mean, role models are good, but it's almost like now we are at a place where it's, we know we can do and be, whatever we want it to an extent, right? So it kind of takes the hierarchy away of like, oh, that person's out there and I won't have that. So now it's like, well, what do I like specifically? Do I like their confidence? Do I like that they're, calm, or that they're embodied? And then, realize like, oh, maybe that's what I'm feeling not, right? I'm feeling like maybe I need more of that. So can you tell us how people can work with you, a little bit about your program, the healing toolkit?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different offerings that I have to people online. I have a place here in Adelaide that I work from, but yeah, online I've got so distance Reiki healing, which is different from in person, but so beautiful and powerful. Like, so just tuning into people's energy and their chakra energy and balancing their chakras. If people are willing to give distance Reiki a go, it might be a big stretch for some people, but it does work. And I do spirit journeys, which are a journey into your unconscious mind. It's like a hypnotic session, where we take to meet our guides, or, solve a problem, or meet a higher version of ourselves. It can be done online. And I also have my 8-week deep healing journey to release and resolve stress, anxiety, depression, or childhood trauma. So so there's a couple of different ways that you can connect. I have my free online emotional freedom workshop that I run every couple of weeks. That's just like a lunchtime in Adelaide. But there is a recording available if you just join the group. There is if you join my mailing list, there's an Anxiety Toolkit which has Calm Your Energy ebook, just 5 tips to calm your energy. There's a simple 5-minute breath meditation, and there is it's 20 minutes calm your anxiety hypnosis recording as well for people in there. And so they are a couple of ways that you can get in touch and start receiving some of my things.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Yeah, and I can vouch for the Reiki, distance Reiki being absolutely amazing and transformative. And I would just, you just got to try it. You just got to do it. It's just one of those things. Everyone's going to experience it a little bit different, but 100% of the time, clients have really positive experiences. So yes, definitely Toni Stevens, Reiki, all the programs. I would recommend people just check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Toni. It's been a real pleasure. Stay in touch. We definitely love to do this again, and we'll keep everything in the show notes. Hopefully a lot of people that are listening and watching can connect with you and really reap the benefits of you're doing great work out there, and we'd love to connect again. Keep it up.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Brian, Tara. So lovely to meet you. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Journey to Your Best Self podcast. We appreciate you being part of this community. For more resources, insights, and ways to connect, head over to youroneself.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and Overcast. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, keep aligning your mind, body, and spirit, and peace, love, and self-discovery. Thank you.